This is Don't Panic, episode number 270, recorded September 11th, 2023. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on whatever we want to talk about. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by two guys who are as cool as ice. It is Colby Rabidou and Dan Miller. Good evening, gentlemen.
Sean, did you say 270? 200?
Oh, I meant three. I actually wrote 370 on the thing here, and you're right. It is, gosh.
Did that just
You know
seem
what
like
it is?
too
Actually,
many?
this is... You know what's really funny is, now I have to double check, but over at Up for Debate, we're on 261. I think that's what I was thinking. We're about 100 behind.
Pretty soon we'll be able to do one of those holiday-style marathons where there's a Don't Panic episode every day of the year, airing on twitch.tv/Don't Panic.
Right.
You
We
can
can
just
take a
create
year
like
off.
a YouTube live channel where it just plays. I like that.
Wow.
The next milestone will be there's enough content for literally one entire year's worth of audio. How many episodes would that have to be? How many hours in a
It would be
year?
365 times 24. Yeah.
8,760.
Oh, that's not that.
I think
We're
we'll get there before
Almost 10% of the way there.
Well, listen, when we eventually, and it's certain we will, go to a daily podcast, we're going to really ramp up
that's
these
true.
numbers.
That's true. Then it'll take us less than a year.
There are podcasts, I know, over 1,000 that are like daily or multi times a week. I mean, it's, dream big.
Wow.
So this will be the first year in Don't Panic history where we don't talk about an upcoming Apple event.
Well, I mean, we can.
I actually don't think there's anything interesting to talk about.
I assumed we would still do an Apple event show.
Okay.
Next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
A post.
To me, the only interesting thing that I have seen or had room is the USB-C switchover, which is supposedly happening. That's interesting.
Yes.
But we can
I don't know
certainly
if
talk.
it's interesting, but it is exciting. It's a reason to upgrade.
Well, but I have recently learned through my own trial and error that when you buy a Lightning accessory, they're all certified by Apple and exactly the same. I also learned that anyone can make USB-C products, and they're not all the same, including when I bought a charging cable for an iPad that barely charged it. And then I learned you can get different wattages on different cables and different charging bricks.
Yes.
And that was a poor experience.
Oh, my God.
And then I went and bought the official Apple cord and brick, and it worked great. So I think there's going to be a lot of disappointed people out there when they go to Five Below, buy a very cheap USB-C cable, and find it doesn't work well.
Yeah.
I'm trying
That's
to find
not
this
ideal.
website that there's a guy who reviews USB-C chargers and cables and tries to, here we go. Tries to explain all the different permutations and combinations and which cables and which specifications provide which kinds of power, and it's so confusing.
And I bought like Amazon Basics, like it wasn't like a total no name, and they're like, yeah, for charging iPads, and I'm like, okay, and it like was trickle charging it barely at any, it didn't seem like it was really charging it. Not great.
It's crazy. I remember when I went on a quest to find a lightning USB-C lightning cable that was longer than like 12 inches long. And that was there's one, and it costs like $80. But I did get it. It does work. So at least there's that.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of permutations now. You're right, because we're all going to have charging bricks that are USB-A. We're going to have charging bricks that are USB-C. We're going to have lightning cables left over. We're going to have older devices still using lightning. I mean, I don't think it was... It's more confusing than going 30-pin to lightning, certainly, because there are so many USB-C. It's an open standard, so I don't know.
Yeah. Me either.
We will have to see. But yes, we'll cover it end-to-end next week, as is our grand tradition. A day late and a dollar short. Unfortunately, I like when they do Monday events. Don't like when they do Tuesday events.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have the most considered opinions. We'll have a lot of time to think about it.
Right.
I have definitely, when we've done the show, noticed that I have different opinions on the day than I do a week later. So actually, it probably, I don't know which one's better, but couldn't hurt.
Right.
I did want to share with you guys, I got an exciting new beverage today.
Ooh.
Exciting new, because Colby's got a cocktail. What is that, Colby? A Manhattan?
It's an old-fashioned of some kind. Yeah.
Old-fashioned. And Dan's got a beer. Looked like a hazy something or other.
Hazy something or other, that's right.
And I have got Dunkin' Spiked.
I just saw that on the internet today. What's
Dunkin'
the
Donuts
verdict?
now makes... So they have two varieties. One is actually coffee flavored, and they didn't have it. That was what I really... Because it was like regular coffee, mocha. I really wanted to try that. Because spiked coffee is insane. But they also have a line of teas. So this is just regular iced tea. They also have like a Arnold Palmer lemonade iced tea. They have like a strawberry one. You know, it's definitely sweet. They even say it's sweet on here, and you can taste the lemon. I will say it's totally flat. That's what
supposed to be?
Threw me for a total loop. Well, when you get it in a Dunkin' Donuts, like, it's not carbonated.
Sure.
But it's also over ice, and I feel like this would be better over ice than it is in the can. But
Yeah.
I will say, I tried... This one, I don't normally get plain iced tea, but I did try the strawberry dragon fruit, I think, and it tasted exactly like the one you get at the store, just with booze in it. You couldn't taste the booze. Tasted exactly like the store one. So, if you're into that.
Now, did the coffee ones have caffeine? Like, is it real coffee?
That is a good question. I'm going to go to dunkinspiked.com.
Ooh.
Am I 21 or older? Yes. Iced coffee, they call it. And you can get it in original. It comes in a mixed pack. Original, caramel, mocha, and vanilla. And if I explore, it's got a 6% alcohol. But it doesn't... There's no, like... Frequently asked questions. Is there caffeine in Dunkin' Spiked? Dunkin' Spiked iced teas and Dunkin' Spiced iced coffee contains real tea and real coffee, so they do contain some caffeine, but less than a typical cup of coffee. The iced teas contain between 15 and 30 milligrams per serving. Dunkin' coffee is about 30 milligrams per serving. For reference, a typical cup of coffee contains 100 milligrams. I did not know these teas were caffeinated, actually. They don't say that anywhere. Now I'm kind of annoyed.
There's no warning.
I'm going to be up all night. Man, now the party's just getting started. You know, this would be like a great like college thing where it's like, let's get slammed on Dunkin' Spikes. We'll get the alcohol and the caffeine. It's like a vodka and Red Bull.
Right. Wasn't that like Four Locos were back in the day?
Exactly.
Like, right?
Dunkin's getting in on the game. They are only available in on the East Coast, unfortunately, Dan. I know you were running out to...
This website is so slow for me. Is it slow for anyone else?
It's bad.
Which website?
No, it is. You're not alone. It's a bad website.
The DunkinSpice.com. I'm going to throw this thing in webpage test and see what the hell's going on here.
Get to the bottom of it.
It takes me 80 milliseconds just to ping the website. For comparison, Google is what? What is Google?
Oh, wow. It's so slow.
5.
What's happening?
Well, maybe they're getting a lot of traffic. People are excited.
Right. Everyone's going stampeding there from Sean's endorsement just now. They just weren't prepared for the traffic.
I will say, it looked like they were going well at this. So I actually bought it at the very first store they started selling it in, which is the I think you've been there, Colby, that huge beer store that was by my old house. And they were selling. They were out of the coffee. I mean, they were selling good, so there's clearly interest. But they do make very clear you cannot buy these at actual Dunkin' Donuts locations. No on tap option.
Darn. I'm pretty interested to try the original iced coffee variety. Like,
well, let us know if you can track it down. I'd be very curious.
I'm gonna keep an eye out. I gotta go. One of the liquor stores here has like a walk-in fridge, and they have a lot of beer, and they have like a variety of beer. They have all kinds of like the stupidest beers you can find. Like one time when Phil came to visit, I went and looked for the weirdest beer I could find, and the weirdest beer I could find was an Atomic Warheads flavored
Yeah.
beer. It was
Did you try it?
Gross.
Ugh.
Yes, we tried it. It was not good. We opened one can and got rid of the rest of them. But it was true to form. It wasn't as sour as I was expecting it to be, but it was sour. What are you going to do?
This is a good question for the crowd, though. What is the grossest beer you can recall trying? I know I did a cactus hibiscus beer once that was horrible. And I also did one that the label simply said apple pie smoothie was the name of the beer. That was really horrible, and I should have known.
I mean, I think mine is.
I think for me, it's got. I don't think I've tried any of the weird ones. I've stayed far away, but I also sort of the first beer I ever had was a Blue Moon, not terrible,
Classic.
and I never went down from there. So like at one point post college, I had Coors Light or Miller Light or something like that, and I was like, wow. This is awful. That's probably the worst beer I've ever had. But I've always stayed away from like, oh my God, it's like peanut butter and THC. Like, I've always stayed away from shit like that.
I vaguely remember there being like peanut butter and jelly beer at like Extreme Beer Fest, Sean. Some strange things. The great thing about Extreme Beer Fest is after like 2 beers, you don't remember what you're drinking. So they're so extreme.
Yeah, these sort of dessert adjacent beer. I think I tried one that was like chocolate raspberry. Dark chocolate raspberry was horrible. Those really, I don't understand the appeal.
Yeah. Laura tried a Sam Adams summer ale for the first time yesterday. She was blown away. Just like, wow, so good. It's barely even beer. It's great.
Their summer ale's pretty good.
Yeah. Gets the job done.
It's not bad. I will say, Porch Rocker makes me sick.
Really?
Have you done Porch Rocker?
No.
It's basically Sam Adams. It's like a shandy. It's got like a little lemonade in it. It's lemony. Oh, it's awful. Can't do it.
I had one time we went to Night Shift is a brewery in these parts, and they have a little like beer garden by the river, and we went there once, and I had a beer there that I really liked. So I bought some at the store, and I had one night, just like with dinner or whatever. And I woke up in the middle of the night. Like I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I was just like, I felt horrible and like couldn't sleep, like heartburn, whatever, terrible. And I was like, wow, that's weird, super unpleasant. And then the next day came around, and like I had another one of the beers. This same exact thing happened. So I don't know what it is about that one particular beer. It tastes really good, but it affects me.
It's your grip tonight.
It really is. I should have made note of like what kind of hops it is or something. Getting old is hard.
Yeah.
I have an unrelated technology anecdote. So today, this has happened a couple times, but today I got a series of emails from Facebook saying, your password reset number is here, whatever it says. You requested to change your password. I'm like, no, I didn't. And then like I hadn't opened my email I hadn't opened this email inbox since before you all were here in August, actually. And I looked at it, I was like, there's all these unpaid bills for my old email provider, which I don't really use anymore, but still hosts some of my old email addresses. And I was like, and it expired yesterday. So now none of them, I can't receive email on any of these email addresses. So because at first I was like, oh shit, like, does this mean that someone can sign up for my email address and start receiving my like password resets for old accounts? But no, because I had it hosted on my domain, so they can't just use my shit. So I was safe from that. But I was like, okay, it's time to finally move all the other stuff off of this email address. And of course, as with all migrations, the two of the things that hadn't moved over were two of the most important things. Not my bank account, but my Apple ID and and my Steam account, which is not super important, but probably is one of my most valuable digital assets in terms of monetary value. And I moved them over, and it was all no problem. I was like, oh my god, I just couldn't. I was dreading doing the Apple ID thing, but no, I went there's like this Apple ID website. It's a special website. I forget what it's called, but there's a specific website you can go to manage your Apple ID. You change your password. It sends a push notification to your phone. You say yes. It sends an email to your new email address. You put in the code. Slip, slop, slap. You're done. So I paid hundreds of dollars over the last couple of years to keep those old email addresses around because I didn't want to change my Apple ID, and it was fine. So if you're also in this situation, just change it. It's not that bad. Although apparently my iMessage email has now changed, which maybe that will cause some problems. But
your iMessage. Oh, I see.
So yeah. Every iMessage account has an email address. Some of them have phone numbers. And the old email address for my Apple ID won't work if you try to send iMessages to it anymore.
Right.
You know, one interesting thing when you're talking about accounts and stuff, I learned, so I am a Google One? I am a Google One subscriber.
Whoa.
Which I didn't mean to be. I bought it for extra storage because I back up all my photos into there. And it's like $1.99, or it's $20 a year. Like, it's very inexpensive. But they give you a bunch of extra features and perks, which I didn't know. Like, they'll give you a free VPN, which I don't use. But one of the things is monitor the dark web. And so what they'll do is, and maybe I'll see if I can pull mine up here, my dark web report. But they'll literally say, like, how often your email or usernames or things come up on the internet. Oh. And they'll actually say, so actually, will this actually reveal stuff if I click on it? No, so I'll share my screen so you guys can see my report, because it was fascinating to me. But here are the results. And it says, based on, like, some of them actually say, like, what, like, list on the dark web it came off of, but you'll see all of these here where it was my email, but also my password, like my Zynga was leaked. But on here, they'll say, like, what the password was. And so I know what passwords of mine are out there. And it's absolutely crazy. You know, like, Chegg was busted, you know, Dropbox, all of these. And if I go back to the results list, they'll literally, you know, if my SSN was out there, thankfully none, but my phone number or email, my date of birth, MGM was hacked back in 2019. And that includes my date of birth, my email, my address. It was very strange, but that's to me where it's like, I'm at the point now where it's like, I just turn on two-factor and just assume all of this stuff has been stolen. I was shocked at how much is out there.
What if your social security number is like out in the dark web? Do you have any recourse? Like, is there anything you can do, or you just like prepare to deal with identity theft for the rest of your life?
I think you just have to be vigilant and hope your bank is reasonable.
Jeez.
I mean, I had a situation where, you know, my mother has a number of illnesses, and she was getting ads for like medications very specifically targeted to that illness. And she's like, how'd they know? Did they get my medical information? I'm like, you joined a bunch of Facebook groups of people who have this illness and Facebook sold that data. Like, there's so much information out there anyway. I just assume it's all public and, you know, whatever. That's where two-factor pass keys or some of this other stuff come in. If it's not an important account, then I just assume they're going to have the password. Not ideal.
No, it's not. Did you guys see that car privacy report thing?
Oh, that was brutal. That was tough. As someone with a newer car, I did not enjoy it. Well, Dan as well.
I felt grateful for my beater.
What was this?
There was a report out from the Mozilla Foundation where they looked at 25 car brands for privacy and security, and they found out basically every modern car out there collects personal information. Most, 84% of them, share or sell your data. 76% say they can sell your personal data. 56 say they can share your information with government or law enforcement. There's a whole article about all the different brands and how they stack up. I'm scared to find my own car brand. Not great, but yeah. So
it was interesting that the TLDR was like, "What's the good one? None of them. There's no good option." Terrible.
Yeah, Hyundai, for example, says in their privacy policy they will comply with lawful requests, whether formal or informal. Not great. So,
wow. You know,
one of those things. I've got one more small update, and then maybe we can move into Colby's topic. Dan, I had talked to you about your now lovely wife, who had really influenced me to change my life. She coached me well. She really pitched me up, but I made another change in my life based on her, and she'll be proud to know this.
I'm excited to hear what it is.
I am now a card-carrying member of Costco. I was inspired.
Well done.
I spent my whole life living nowhere near warehouse clubs like this, so I never had experiences with them. I go to your house, everything's Costco, everything's Kirkland. And I was impressed by the experience and her effusive love for everything Costco. And so I got home and I said, you know what? I got to get on the bandwagon. And so I took my mother and we went to Costco and I signed up.
An executive membership, no less.
Well, okay. Hey, listen. All right. Don't listen. They have a deal for first time people where you get executive for the first year at the cost of the basic. So I did not splurge. Although I am getting 2% back on my purchases.
What do you get with your executive membership?
You have to be an executive if you want to use like the optical shop or the tire shop or the travel service, like all the outside services. You also get 2% back on your purchases.
Costco. It's kind of like REI. You get it. I think you can get it as cash.
Yes.
But usually you just take it off of your bill when you next buy something or something like that.
Right.
So I went to Costco for the first time, and I kid you not, I felt like the most yokel tourist. I was walking around, Gee whiz, wow, that's so big. 5 gallons of olive oil. Come here, you got to see this. Like, I literally said, come here, you got to see this about 30 times. Because I was, whoa, that's 5 pounds of ground beef. Look at that. Oh, my God. But I left with $500 worth of stuff. I saved a bunch of money, and I've been enjoying fine Costco products. So far, it's been a grand success.
Wow. So what did you get? Because like it's funny because just this weekend we were like, how come we go to Costco every 2 months and we spend $300 at Costco? Like maybe we shouldn't do that. But it sounds like you spent even more than that and feel like you saved. But I think Costco is really good for some things. Toilet paper, things you're going to use regardless. I think for some people, olive oil, if you have enough space to keep a giant metal drum of olive oil around, sure, you'll use it eventually. and it doesn't go bad. But other things, I think they get you with like the muffins. Like, oh look, it's a giant crate of muffins, and you have to get 2 of them. They don't even come bundled. You have to pick up 2 and bring them over. So, anyways, I'm curious what you got.
Yeah, I will say I was kind of price checking as I was going through against stuff I normally buy, and my back of the napkin math was about 20% savings on name brand and up to 30 to 35% on Kirkland stuff. So the savings were there. I don't doubt that. But it was a lot of paper towels, toilet paper, napkins. I didn't really buy any fresh or frozen stuff. I bought like 12 cans of tomato sauce, a bunch of pasta, vitamins. My mother takes a ton of vitamins, and those are really cheap and good quality there. I did buy some snacks, some fig bars and some trail mix and stuff. So it was a lot of that, but it was a lot of stuff we go through anyway. But I was like, it's 8 pounds of pasta. This is crazy. So we had to find places to store a bunch of that, batteries, like all that kind of stuff. I don't think I'd go more than once a month or once every other month, but I used to do that to Target and spend more. So
yeah,
it was great. I was thoroughly impressed. I got some samples.
Oh, nice.
Which was a treat. I got yelled at because they were doing little hot dog, Kirkland hot dog samples. I got to get one, beef dogs. And the little tray didn't have any samples, but she had a second tray. She was putting them on, and I reached over. And she says, no, you cannot reach over. Do not reach over. I will hand you one. I said, okay. So sorry. Apologies. I was, children knew the Costco rules. I didn't. I was new. I said, I'm new. I'm sorry. I felt out of place, but they were very welcoming.
Are you going to avail yourself of any of these additional services, tires, gas, opticians, travel agents?
Well, I probably not, but We'll see. I'm open to it. I will say I was really upset because I just bought a bunch of Ring cameras for around my house, and I learned that they do bulk packs at Costco at quality savings, which was upsetting. But I don't know. We'll see. I did not get to try the pizza or the hot dog that I know they're famous for. That's on my to-do list.
Yeah. What did you think about the checkout process?
So I thought it was fine. I got it. I was observant. I got it. I got, letting them do the thing, and the cart goes on the other side, and no bags. They kind of just put the stuff in the cart. They were very good. They were very well. And I said, I'm new. This was my first time. They were very welcoming.
Well, that's awesome. I will convey your new life update.
Please, yes. Great savings, really improving my lifestyle with fantastic Kirkland brand products. So I did not go in the liquor store. I hear there's Kirkland brand beer.
Oh, this must work differently in Massachusetts. Yeah, I was like, liquor store, and then I remembered in Washington it's just amongst everything else. It's
it's a whole separate door. You can't.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they have really good stuff. They have a very good, like, the Kirkland wine is legitimately really good wine. They just won't tell you where it's from, I think. They also have like specialty items like port. You can get. You may have seen it in the refrigerator. I should have offered you some. We have some Costco Kirkland Tawny Port dessert wine in the refrigerator. You can get really good stuff there. I don't think they sell liquor though. I think it's just beer and wine. I think, but I'm not sure. If they do, it's probably like one of those gallon vodka Tito's jugs.
I've seen pictures of Kirkland brand vodka. Oof. So it exists. Okay. And it's probably good. I mean, that's the funny. If I had known this when we were in college,
right?
We would have had a lot of that. But I will say yeah.
Oh, if you're ever in Hawaii, I think there are multiple Costco's in Hawaii. There are at least 3, fun facts, which is kind of crazy. Also, I learned recently, we can do this trivia later, which states don't have Costco's. But in Hawaii, and soon I think in many Costco's, if not nationwide, you can get poke by the pound. It's basically deconstructed sushi. Yeah. So it used to be my pro tip was if you go to Hawaii, go to the Costco, buy poke by the pound, and then go to like a Chinese restaurant and just order white rice. And then you can make yourself poke for basically at cost, seemingly, compared to what it would cost at a restaurant in Hawaii. It's so cheap.
Dan, you have to write a travel book. God damn it.
It would be very short. But yeah, which states don't have Costco's?
Idaho.
Let me pull it up again.
Because I think
only
like
remember one off the top of my head.
Guam.
Not a
Is
state,
Rhode
Sean.
Island
Come
one?
on. Go back to
I didn't
civics
know.
class.
Oh, I didn't know it was territories weren't included.
Colby's correct. Rhode Island is one of
It's
four
too small.
states,
They couldn't fit it.
One of 4 states that does not have a Costco.
And to be fair, there's probably a Costco like 10 minutes over the line in Massachusetts.
Probably several. Is Long Island a state?
No.
State. Delaware?
Nope, Delaware has one.
What about Alaska?
DC has one, and that's not even a state. Alaska has 4,
Wow.
which is insane. Hawaii
Alabama?
has 7. Alabama has 4. They start with W. 2 of the remaining states that don't have
Wisconsin.
Costco's. Wyoming. Wisconsin has 10.
Okay.
West Virginia.
Yeah, Wyoming's not a place.
West
Virginia.
Okay.
And Maine. Though Maine is getting its first Costco anytime now. It's supposed to open this fall. Which states have the most Costco's? Top 3.
Well, what state did it start in?
Washington.
So then is one of them Washington?
That is the second most, I think. It's the third most. That is number 3. That's the curveball. The other 2 are easy.
Florida, Texas, California, New York.
California and Texas. Yeah, California, number 1. Far and away number 1. 134 Costco locations. Texas, barely ahead of Washington at 38. Washington State has 33 Costco's.
Wow. Now, which
For reference, Massachusetts has 6.
And I went to one in Connecticut, so it doesn't even count.
Connecticut has 8. That's shocking.
Actually,
How does Connecticut have more Costco's?
I have 2 within 20 minutes of me, which is very surprising. So
I feel like
Connecticut has one more Costco than Hawaii, which is just a bonkers stat.
there isn't one down that end of the state?
No, Connecticut has 8 Costco's.
I think
there's
there's
one
one
Boston?
somewhere. It's just inconvenient. Wow. Now, which state has the most Costco's per capita?
That's a great question. It still has to be California at 136.
That is a lot of Costco's.
Well, that's next on my list is to dig into the website. There's got to be some crazy stuff on here.
There is stuff that's only available online.
I want to get really crazy stuff. I'm looking right now that they've got all kinds of you can buy a shed, but a shed it's a house, but it looks like a shed.
It's
Anyway,
a house, like a home.
well,
a home.
it's a
person lives
shed
in?
that's a house.
Oh, the shed looks like a house.
No, the house. No, it's a shed that looks like a shed, but it's a house.
I'm confused.
Only Costco, man.
Wow.
You can get bottled water delivery, pet insurance, truck rentals, home insurance, checks.
You can buy a car.
Mm-hmm. Window blinds.
Ooh, window blinds.
It's crazy. I'm gonna have to dig into the home improvement section here and see what I can get a jacuzzi bath remodel.
Wow.
Thanks, Costco.
Nice.
You can buy an RV.
Oh, that's cool.
CostcoAuto.com.
Damn.
Buy a car with confidence. Well, I will keep all of you abreast at any Costco-related life updates that come my way.
Yes, please do.
Certainly.
But we're far into the show. We've got to pivot to today's topic, and we have got whatever the opposite of a barn burner is, a barn cooler.
Sean, that's exactly what I was thinking as you were about to say that. I was like, it's like the opposite of a barn burner. Nice. Yeah.
What do we got, Colby?
So my assignment for these bros. What the fuck is going on? Okay. Am I successfully sharing? Yeah, I am. So my assignment was to check out this blog, a classic blog called it's brr.fyi, burr.fyi. And it's a blog that it's mostly pictures. There are some words that go along with the pictures, but it's a person who works in IT at the research base in Antarctica. And they post pictures of stuff, mostly frozen stuff, from the base, and I think it is weirdly compelling. It's very, very. There's some really interesting stuff, just like a backwards world, where they live. But I think it's a cool blog. You should check it out. But our assignment for today was to pick a posting, and Dan didn't do his assignment. What a jerk.
Well, I read the entire blog, so now I just have to do the assignment and retroactively pick a
just
post.
Pick your favorite one. I see. I should have asked before the.
Well,
okay.
I'll buy Dan some time to find a post. Colby, how did you come across this blog?
I don't remember. I saw it on someone posted it on Twitter or Hacker News or something. It was one of those, the usual ways that I discover links to things. But I added it to my RSS feed, and I've just been consuming,
Sean, I have several articles that I could talk about. So I think that we should just complete the assignment, and I'll go last so I don't steal someone's, or I can go first. Up to y'all.
Either is fine.
Colby, is there any place in particular you want to start?
I can pick one here. Let's see. Is this going to switch if I switch tabs? No, it's not.
No, I think it's by tab.
Let's see. What was the one? I like this one. This one is very basic, but it's like stuff covered in snow. This is one of my favorite quotes from the blog is, one thing all of these stations have in common, ? Nature is constantly trying to bury them and succeeding. So this whole article is just like pictures of stuff like buried in the snow. It's like huge, vast tracts of snow with like a building there, like snow drifts that are 20 feet high. It seems like one of the buildings is like, kind of like a house near the beach where they like put them up on stilts. It's like that, but for snow. But also a huge building. It seems like a lot of the buildings are like that, actually. It's like you can walk like under them. They're up on pylons. Some snow covering stairs. Good stuff. Snow moving apparatus with treads. It's like a big tread thing. Snow as far as the eye can see. Oh, I like this one. Nice.
A question I had that I didn't see addressed, but some of these articles I skimmed, such as this one, Do they undertake any snow clearing activity, or do they just live with the snow? And is everything designed to just accumulate tens of feet of snow?
I think a lot of it is designed to accumulate snow. Like I think these buildings here, like they kind of look like airplane hangars or something. They're like
Right.
sort of
I
like
guess this is
archy half
betraying it
circle
though, because
buildings.
those look like plows parked in front of those
Right.
buildings.
Right. So I think the answer is both. Like some of the buildings are supposed to be covered in snow, but like you have to clear the doors, right?
Right.
You have to be able to get into
Well, that
them.
was one of the things in reading through the posts is this gentleman's been in 2 locations. He's been at the. I'm not going to remember the names of them.
Macrudo or something.
McMurdo,
McMurdo.
which is sort of that's the larger base, and in some of the pictures, it's almost like a small town. I mean, there's multiple buildings. There's like a barber shop and like post office and normal things. And then he now. And by the way, this is an ongoing blog. His last post was August 20th, so this is active. He's down there right now. He's moved out to a much more isolated location on the true South Pole.
Oh, interesting. Nice.
And so it seems like in some of the photos of the town in McMurdo, it seems almost like the Alaskan towns maybe you've seen on TV or anything like that, where it's just a bunch of buildings in a very industrial sort of setup.
Right. Yeah. It's cool. It's very otherworldly. I was looking before. You can see it on Google Maps. McMurdo.
I think he said it was a population of around 2,000, give or take, at the peak of summer, because some tourists come in and things like that. Where he is on the South Pole now is around 200.
Wow.
I like this view of the satellite photos. It's like total chaos. Like all of the satellite photos on Google Maps were taken at like different times of the year, and so sometimes the ocean is frozen, and other times it's not. It's very silly.
Wow.
Nice.
And look at that. They even got roads marked here on Google Maps.
Right.
There's a fire station.
It's like
that's just wild. Is everything's got to be shipped in, obviously, and that includes cars. And I mean, anything that's there was brought there by ship or by plane.
Right.
Yeah. Crazy. That leads to one of my things, and maybe this could be my favorite post, the doing laundry post. I liked that there were ironing boards there, because that like I saw that it wasn't mentioned, and I was like, man, that doesn't seem essential at all for people who are taking 90-second showers every 3 days. A nicely pressed suit's got to be the least of your worries. Plus, that takes water, which is precious stuff. So I thought that was funny. But then it was also interesting to me that it seemed like all the laundry machines, or many of them, were different. Not in that photo, but scroll down to one of the other photos.
Like this one.
Doesn't that seem like a nightmare? If it takes so long to get these parts, you have 2 different kinds of washing machines. At least there's at least 3 different ones there, possibly 4. So I thought that was interesting. A lamp on the ground. I didn't notice that before. What is that lamp doing there? So many questions.
Like a humidifier. That sounds necessary.
I guess that's what that is. Yeah, wow. A humidifier analogy and a lamp. There are 2 supplied irons, and those take water to run.
I mean, I guess they must have a lot of water, right? Like,
well, they talked about that in the shower, and this was my other favorite article, and not to steal all the articles. The shower article, they talked about how Oh my God, Colby, the shower article. All right, I'm gonna pick the shower article then. The shower article is definitely my favorite one. It's very funny. Um,
Oh yeah.
Showering at the South Pole. He goes through like the various ways that you could arrange your allotted shower seconds. If you showered every day, you could only shower for 30 seconds. If you save it to the end, you could shower for, I forget what it is, like 45 minutes or something like that. If you didn't shower at all for 90 days.
Wow.
But in here, he describes and how the water is procured, which is also interesting, where they take heated water, I think. So it's kind of interesting. You have to start with water, take hot water, pump it down into this giant pit of snow or ice, and then it melts the water, and then the water floats to the top, and it creates this sort of interesting well where you can renew the resource, but it's kind of like a hot water heater in your house. You have to be able to heat up the water fast enough, but it's even slower than that, right? Because you heat up the water, and then you got to pump it down, and then you got to wait for the ice to melt, and then you got to wait for it to float to the top. So it takes a lot longer to get water at all. Never mind hot water. So yeah, I'm surprised but I guess an iron doesn't use that much water, like a liter, if that, probably.
Right. Yeah. See, I must have started this one, and then at the beginning it said, if you're only here for a tedious discussion of infrastructure, you might want to skip this post. And I guess I
thought he was going to get a little too personal on the showering.
Nice.
It's really funny.
Very
You
cool.
should go through and read it.
I like the equation here.
Yes.
I will say, in terms of a blog, it's actually pretty well written, I thought. The content was interesting, not too wordy or too long, a good mix of photos and even some video in there. It was actually pretty enjoyable to read.
Yes, I wrote down, I love HTML5 videos. I can just click play and it plays. I can AirPlay it. I can full screen it. I can swipe it to the side. It was great. It's always a YouTube video, and you can't do any of that stuff with YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things he talks about early on is the internet connection. It's not streaming video fast. It's all from satellites. So it was nice to get all this HD beautiful content out of there. I think on your screen here now, Colby, is Frost, which I enjoyed quite a lot, because one of the things he does post about a lot is like signs and like just mundane shit, which I find fascinating. And it's just a whole blog post that talks about how things are stored. There is some heated storage, but not a lot. And anything that doesn't absolutely have to be warm, they have it in this giant logistics warehouse. The outside temperature is averaging negative 56 degrees year round. In the warehouse, it's about negative 40. And so everything is extremely frozen. And he's got these great pictures throughout of frost covering everything, frost covering the food. There's like bottles of spices. And they'll actually get food years in advance, and it'll just stay frozen, obviously, in the event of an emergency. It'll just be huge vats of food. And then where he's staying now, where it's truly abandoned, like there are no planes for like 3 months during the peak of the winter, which is happening right now. There's no fresh food. Like all they have, there's a post, I think it's called, My Last Egg. And following that, there is, it's all frozen stuff, and they have cooks, and the food looks okay, but it could have been there for literally, chicken could have been there for years, and it's just so frozen that it just things out. It does look like a giant freezer.
Was it in this article that he talked about how some stuff is just actually stored outside? Like, I think he mentioned the coffee. Coffee grounds can be frozen. They just keep it outside. It's not even worth taking up the warehouse space. I'm curious now, looking again, there's so many things you see on the second read through. Do you need to get a fire extinguisher that is like certified to operate in far below zero temperatures, or does the contents not freeze? I never thought about a fire extinguisher in that way.
Is it?
I have no idea. That's a very good question.
Wow.
It looked like any other fire extinguisher.
I'm sure you got to think about that for just about everything there.
It was towards the bottom-ish.
Fire alarm. Oh yeah.
There you go.
Let's see. Can we
Looks like
see
any other fire extinguisher.
It does look like a fire extinguisher.
I just Googled it. Will freeze when left out in temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So certainly negative 53 on average, you said, Sean. It certainly seems like that would qualify.
Counts. Wow. It's just a formality.
I think he said a nice day in like the summertime is 5 degrees.
Yeah.
That's like a beautiful day to go for a hike.
Epic.
I was also thinking, and not to just keep stealing everyone's favorite articles, when I was reading this article, when I was reading the one about the greenhouse, I don't remember if that was its own article or it was included in a different one. I think it may have been one about food. Maybe it was in The Last Egg. I don't remember, but it very much reminds me of The Martian. Like they have this greenhouse, and who tends to it? How do they grow things in it? What happens in the wintertime to it? And it must be very interesting. Yeah, this was the greenhouse. Yeah, it must be very interesting to really taste, because I feel like, we're coming out of farmers market season here, and I know at an intellectual level that some things taste much better at the farmers market, but not that much better. Not an incredible amount better than what you can get at the grocery store, but it's certainly an incredible amount better than peas from the frozen pea aisle at Stop and Shop. And then for that to be all you eat, it must be really stark when the fresh food comes back.
Right. Returning. You really.
Although the food didn't look half bad, I will say that the pictures he had of his like post everything, which is I believe this picture here,
yeah,
of a fresh meal and then a less fresh meal, it still doesn't look too bad.
No, yeah.
No. Wow.
This brings me to another question I had. I think this was in the waste treatment article. It talked about how, it seems to be a regular waste treatment facility, except what do you do with the stuff that you can't recycle, the poop bits? And essentially you have fertilizer, but he mentions at the end as a sort of throwaway line, they ship it back to the United States, which is just a crazy sort of like, you think about how hard it is to get things to Antarctica, but then you have this like accumulation of literal shit that you have to get out of Antarctica. I suspect because there's like probably international treaties against polluting and stuff like that. But I wonder if they don't also use it for the greenhouse as fertilizer. I would love to know. I'm sure they do. I'd love to know for sure, because that seems really cool and very Martian-y.
Well, I kind of like the idea of it shipping back to the United States. I could absolutely imagine like having a garden being like, well, you can get regular fertilizer, or you can get human waste fertilizer from Antarctica. And I'm like, I would pay extra for that.
Flash frozen.
That's pretty cool.
Flash frozen.
So if they're just throwing this away, some budding entrepreneur should track it down and market it and sell it. That's my pitch.
Wow. Wastewater.
Speaking of mailing things, the article about mailing things and how it's cheaper to mail packages from Antarctica than it is within the continental U.S. because it's subsidized. Thought that was very interesting because part of the military postal service.
Oh, very cool.
Yep, yeah, I talked about the ATM machine and how to get cash.
That
certain
was so
places.
shocking to me. That was another one of those things, like getting rid of the poop, where I was like, how does this work? Like everything else is so hard. How does this just work? Where does the cash come from? Was my question.
Do you think there are bank robberies in Antarctica?
Yeah, I was also he didn't really talk about security. I guess it's not really a thought, but that's another thing that I'm guessing is absent, right? Like, no one's going to go anywhere. Though it does remind me of one of my favorite books I read called Outposts, Anyways, long story short, he talks about going to this very small protectorate of the UK where, it's a very small island and someone kills someone and there's no jail. I think there were judges, but there were no impartial judges because the island is so small that everybody knows everybody else. So you can't have an impartial jury of your peers. So they had to ship in a jury from the UK to act as the impartial jury, and they had to build a jail to hold all the suspects because no one had ever been imprisoned before. So they would have all those same problems. But yeah, where does the cash come from? And how do they know how much cash to put in? What happens if the ATM runs out of money? Why are there 3?
Is there a line? Honestly, I do bet the tourists who come onto the island don't bring enough cash, and I do bet they get used.
So I didn't think tourists were allowed on base, but I could be wrong about that. I just know I had a friend who wanted to go to Antarctica to, say they went to all the continents, and they did this cruise where like you get off the cruise, you step foot in Antarctica, but you pretty much get right back on the cruise. You only get off to say that you stepped foot. But I don't know if that was because it's too expensive to stay for longer, or if you literally aren't allowed to. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Wild. But yeah.
But this was a great pick, Colby. Very interesting. Learned a lot of stuff. It's a good, as far as blogs go, pretty darn good.
It's a nice picture to word ratio. Like there's a lot of good stuff and not that many words. It's great.
I will say, unfortunately, according to the About section, his time in Antarctica will end probably around November. So that's when his contract expires. I don't know if there's the option to extend it, but we'll see. My real question for you two is, they don't need marketing people in Antarctica, so I'm not going there to work anytime soon, but you guys are smart computer people. And according to the websites I'm browsing, there are open positions.
Really? What kind of positions?
Yes. A senior computer technician. Is that something you can do?
I worked in IT at Mayor.
I was going to say, we have relevant experience.
The same thing.
Vaguely.
And fun fact, I'm 2 degrees separated from someone else who lives there. So I would even have a friend.
You got in. You got in. Wow. That's my question to you guys. Would you guys go and do a tour in Antarctica?
I could see a world where I wouldn't do it in the world I live in now, but I could see a world where if I had fewer obligations, it's one of those things, right? Like skydiving. How many people can say that they did that, and you could get paid to do it, and I didn't have anything better to do? Yeah, I would do it. I think I've literally trained for this my entire life, being an only child and an introvert. So it would be fine. Famous last words.
Right. Yeah, I think I feel the same way. If I had even less stuff going on than I have going on now, I would be down. It sounds totally wild. Like the blogger makes it sound very compelling.
Here's another question that you just made me think of, Colby. Because, if you're in the military will provide housing for you and your entire family when you get, put on base in Hawaii or Alaska or Germany or wherever. Can people who have families bring their families to Antarctica, or is there a preschool, or is it all like adults only? It's got to be adults only, I imagine. But that's a very unique sort of situation.
I'm scanning some of these job listings. They're absolutely fascinating. It does not specifically say.
Interesting. I assume relocation is paid for.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're also all temporary assignments. I mean, all of these say it's for a season. I am on this careers page, guys, and here's some of the open positions you can have. You can be a beverage supervisor, a hairstylist,
Ooh.
a hazardous waste technician.
Interesting.
You can be the lead baker. They need a postal supervisor, a sous chef, a solid waste supervisor. I'm assuming that has to do with the bathroom operations. A lot of people in waste management. They need a lot of people there. A steward coordinator, which is a janitorial role. A spill response technician. So they are hiring.
Wow. Do you have to have prior experience?
On most of these, let's see. If you want to be the hairstylist, it's the summer season. You get paid $583 to $663 per week. You do have to be a graduate of cosmetology or barber school with a minimum of 2 years experience as a hairstylist, but that's it.
Well, that's not too bad. I could start on that right now. Banging
Honestly.
out in a couple of years. Wow.
Something to think about.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, good one, Colby.
Nice. We did it.
Yes, we did. Now, gentlemen, before we wrap up for this evening, we already said we're doing the Apple event next week, but it is my turn, and unfortunately, you guys now have to suffer through 2 weeks of my topic because you have homework.
Uh-oh.
One of the cool things about this is that it does not have to be technology related, and guys, this week officially kicked off the NFL season, okay? Lots of exciting things about the National Football League, but one of them is something called daily fantasy football. Are you familiar with daily fantasy football?
No.
Excellent. That's the exciting thing. The idea is each
Sean,
week...
Is this a ruse to take our money?
I'm here to steal your money. No, the exciting thing is there's no money involved, just bragging rights. The way it works is each week you essentially roster a team. You pick a quarterback, some running backs, some wide receivers, and you roster a team and you get points for what they do on the field. But the challenge is each player has a dollar value. A great player might cost 9,000 fake dollars, where a not so good player is 5,000. You can only spend 60,000 to create your roster. So there's some strategy and thought. Guys, the three of us are going to go head to head both this weekend and next weekend. So we get to run 2 of these before our next episode. And we're going to see who's best at it. Now, the exciting thing is there's lots of ways you can create your lineup. You can just pick randomly and hope for the best. There's a tool in the app. There's websites that'll coach you through it. But when we come back after our Apple episode, we're going to report out on who won, who lost, and what you learned about the NFL and daily fantasy strategy in putting together your rosters. How does this sound?
Awesome.
Sounds unlike anything I've ever done before.
The good news is it's easy and doesn't take a lot of time. I tried very hard to create something simple. So I will message you guys all the information you need in the Slack to sign up. There's no cost. It's just for bragging rights. And if it makes you feel any better, I'm in a league with my family, and I came in last this week. So I'm not very good either. So stay tuned for that. We got Apple next week and our fantasy football the week after that. But that's going to wrap us up here. Don'tPanic.io is our website. You should go there and check out all our episodes. Last week, we ranked tech years by tiers, and it was great. So if you didn't listen to that, it's still there. And, of course, you can subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Check that out with the video version on YouTube. You can see all the great pictures we talked about today in the video version or by visiting brrr.fyi and check that out there. But that's going to do it for this episode. On behalf of Colby and Dan, I'm Sean. We appreciate you being here. We're going to see you next time for another Apple-tastic edition of Don't Panic.